Here we are on day 101 with another 100 days of hardcore Minecraft, and today I just sorted. Day 102, I decided to sort again, but luckily, later in the video, this storage room gets a very big upgrade as I realize it's not enough for my needs. On day 103, I go over to the village and trade some paper and raw chicken for emeralds, because I needed to heal up my tools. And then when I got back on day 103, I decided to harvest my bamboo, as I knew it had to be useful sometime. On day 104, I was going back from the nether as I was trying to find a fortress, since one of my main goals, this 100 days, was to beat the ender dragon, but on the way back, I realized that I could get a pretty cool achievement here, so I'll just let you, see how this plays out. And then boom, right there, I get Return to Sender, which is a pretty cool achievement, so if I go achievement hunting, I won't have to get that one. On day 105, I decided to resume my journey looking for another fortress, and instead of wandering in a random direction, I decided to use a couple of my speedrunning tactics that I learned back when I tried to speedrun. Basically, what I'm doing is I'm using my pie chart to figure out how far away the fortress is. And it worked, as on day 105, I traveled in the correct direction and found it. I was still in the nether day 126, just killing blazes for blaze rods and wither skeletons, hoping to get lucky with a wither skeleton head drop for a beacon. I did explore most of the fortress. I found a bit of nether wart and looted basically all the chests. So there was no reason for me to come back. So just like that, on day 107, I got back from the nether and decided I wanted to get ender pearls. So you need two things to go to the end. Blaze rods and ender pearls so you can make eyes of ender to go to the stronghold. So I already had the blaze rods, 25 to be exact, so I decided to trade for ender pearls, going the safer route instead of trying to kill endermen. Luckily, I didn't get the wrong trade on the cleric, so that was nice. In the night of day 107, I decided to kill creepers because I would need them to craft rockets for after the end fight when I got an elytra. This is a thing that I usually forget, so it was nice that I was actually remembering it this time. You can see here, and then I also made an ender chest to put all my stuff in that I was going to use for the end fight. So I had some arrows to shoot down the crystals, my eyes of ender, and some gapples, obviously, just in case I get low. I also crafted the rockets. Mostly the nights before, leading up to the end fight, I would keep killing creepers just in case all the rockets weren't enough. Put an extra sword in there. Put a carved pumpkin, which I didn't even end up wearing, which is kind of funny. I had this bundle with a bunch of stuff. It had some extra stuff. It was just a bunch of stuff from the nether that I didn't need. Day 109, I decided to refresh to try and get Unbreaking 3 for my elytra. I already had Mending from one lucky villager last time, so all I needed was Unbreaking 3, and I could get an Unbreaking 3 and Mending book for my elytra, so when I got to the end and got my elytra, it wouldn't break when I was flying. Day 109, I did more of killing creepers. Fun little trick that I learned from, I don't remember the channel name, whatever. If you hold your sword in your offhand and shoot people with your bow, then you'll get the same effect if you have looting. And then day 110, I continued trying to get Unbreaking 3. The night of day 110, can you guess what I did? Yep, I killed more creepers. And then day 111, I refreshed for Unbreaking 3. It was a pretty boring cycle, but once I got Unbreaking 3, it would finally be over. And there, right there. Day 111, I got Unbreaking 3. I immediately locked him as I didn't want to refresh anymore. And in the nights of day 111, I killed creepers. Yeah, I know I got Unbreaking 3, but I still decided to keep killing creepers, just in case I didn't have enough rockets. And here I also got a music disc, which was pretty nice. On day 112, started the journey to try and get a slow falling potion for the end fight. Slow falling is really useful because you can't die from any height no matter where you fall if you have slow falling. Takes a very long time to get phantoms because I have no idea what I did wrong, but they didn't spawn for so long even while I didn't sleep. And then here you can see I was just prepping everything. I had everything prepped for like so long, just waiting for phantoms to spawn. It took way too long. But of course, while I was waiting for phantoms to spawn, I would always kill creepers, because maybe after I got the elytra, I would still need rockets, so it's good to have more than not enough. And the music discs every once in a while was pretty nice. I didn't get too many, but I did end up getting a couple, which was pretty cool. Day 114, the night of day 114, I decided to switch my strategy. Basically stood in the tower and shot enemies. The reason why you're not seeing the days of these days, I guess, is because I was just waiting for phantoms the entire day. Day 115, I got bored of just sitting there, so I decided to tower up with bamboo to height limit and see if I could see anything. But the moment I cranked up my render distance to max, my entire game crashed and I couldn't even relaunch it without changing my options. So this was pretty much a fail. So it was kind of cool and I could basically see my base from anywhere. Day 116, I went mining. I don't know why. I guess I just wanted to go mining, so that was nice. The only thing I really found, I was really at coal and iron level in this one cave. Day 117, I built a rail duper as I was planning on making an iron farm. And to make an iron farm, you need villagers, so I wanted to minecart villagers over, but I didn't want to waste all my iron that I had barely any of on making rail, so I just decided to dupe them. I mean, I guess it's kind of abusing a mechanic, but I mean, it's my world, so I just thought it would be cool to have. Day 117, I worked on the iron farm, got everything set up besides the zombie and the villagers. And then I killed creepers, of course, because creepers. And then here I got a music disc, which was nice. At least I tried to get a music disc here. And then day 118, I decided to get the villagers over. Because I already had basically a minecart track, I just had to expand it a bit to get the villager and a bit to go to the iron farm. So it wasn't too bad at all. It was just like a stack of rails more, and then just getting 2 villagers that had no jobs, or 3 villagers. Day 118, phantoms finally spawned, which means I could finally get slow falling potions, which basically meant I was ready to fight the dragon. So I didn't know what to do. I could keep working on the iron farm, or I could go fight the dragon. I was pretty conflicted, but I decided to stay there. Day 119, I put all my stuff away, and then got ready to brew the potions, and prepared my ender chest with more stuff I might need. I also decided I was going to make a better storage room, which was a project to keep me over until I finally decided to go to the end. Day 120, I was getting resources for it. I was going to make a smaller version at first, and if I thought it was good, then I was going to expand it by a lot, which you'll see I did end up expanding it by a lot. But most of the resources were just a bunch of hoppers, chests, and then a couple of redstone stuff. Day 121, I basically dismantled the first storage system, so there would be room for the second one that I was building. The second storage system was in the same room as the first storage system, but it was just much better and much more convenient, as it auto-sorted everything. So I just basically had to break all the current chests and put them in, like, random middle chests in there. And then, day 121 again, I just kept doing that, like, the entire day, so much that I went to day 122, too. I had an abundance of a lot of stuff, like eggs and seeds. I did think about throwing them out, but I decided not to. On day 123, which, yes, I know we skipped day 122, but that just, like, didn't exist, so it's fine. I started building the storage room, which was really cool. It was just a couple of redstone. It's your average auto sorter. If you've ever built a farm with an auto sorter to, like, select different items, it's basically that, just bigger. And then just instead of item sorters being like rotten flesh, it was just like coal or something like that. So I basically did that the entire day. It wasn't too bad though. You can see me, I'm doing the hoppers against the comparators. If you build an item sorter, I don't even know what that means, but if you built one, you probably do. And then I finally finished the end of it on day 123. And then at the night of 123, I finished the end of it. And in hindsight, I don't know why I did the end of it, because I knew I was going to expand it. Day 124, I did that exact thing. I expanded it. So I don't know why I built the end, as I just had to rebuild it after I expanded it, which was just kind of annoying. I guess I built the end to see if it would work, which kind of makes sense, but not really. Here you can see me expanding the room to get ready for the big upgrade. Day 125, I had most of the things dug out. I had most of all the chests we needed from just destroying the old storage room, which was kind of nice. And then I also rebuilt the end, which You see, I had no idea why I even built the end in the first place, but I just rebuilt it. Day 125 is sat in a box. Or the night of 125. I probably had to go poo or something, I don't know. Day 126, I got a bunch of wood. Even though I had a bunch of chests, I would probably need more. So I got a bunch to make hoppers and just to have chests for the storage room. I got around 2 stacks, which is probably going to be enough. It might not be enough. But I spent like the entire day chopping, so I was really bored and didn't want to keep chopping. Day 127, can you guess what? I stopped working on the storage room and decided to go try and kill the Ender Dragon. Yeah, I know, I'm all over the place. But I threw some eyes, I prepped my inventory, and I started on the long journey to find the dragon, or the stronghold. And the night of day 127, I did end up finding where the stronghold was, as the Eye of Ender led right down to it. I did end up having to dig around for a while as I couldn't find it, but it was fine. Here you can see me down where I was digging on day 128, trying to find where the stronghold was. The eyes said it was right here, but I couldn't find it. You can see I'm using my ender chest to illuminate because I'm using a mod. Optifine, I'm pretty sure is what I was using. So that was nice. Eventually, after digging a while, I found a cave that connected to it, and I wrote down the coords and looked around for the portal room. But I didn't even have to look long because the portal room was literally basically in front of me after I went down the starter staircase. So I lit the portal, put all my random stuff in the chest, and then I went. Well, I didn't go through yet because I thought I had forgotten something. I didn't end up actually forgetting it, but that took me a while to go all the way. I thought I had forgotten, I'm pretty sure, my slow falling potions. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I forgot my slow falling potions, but I also thought I forgot my ender chest, which is kind of dumb. As you can see, my ender chest is literally in my hotbar right now. So that was kind of stupid, but when I got back, I did a bit of organizing, had all the slow falling potions in my ender chest that I already had. And I decided to go all the way back, which wasn't too bad of a journey. As you can see, that's all the stuff I'm bringing to the fight. Breaking 3, mending, all that stuff. I also brought a bed so I could set my spawn point. I don't know why. I guess to come back after I beat the Ender Dragon. But, because if I die, I'm not coming back. So, on day 130, I drank my slow falling potion and jumped in. What's really important about the dragon fight is basically I have to make sure I have slow falling on at the entire time. Because if I'm never slow falling, I risk of being hit off or just like going anywhere and dying. The first thing I need to do on day 130 is I need to get all the end crystals so the dragon can't heal anymore. So that's immediately what I'm going to do. You can see I'm looking down and not wearing a pumpkin because a pumpkin has like 0 visibility, so I just decided not to. It wasn't too bad, and then I just basically shot all the crystals. There were no endermen up there, so I didn't have to worry about that. I don't have the best aim, but you can see here I got knocked off. If I didn't have slow falling right there, I would have been dead unless I clutched. And then after getting all the crystals, it was basically a waiting game of waiting it for a perch, and then if it didn't perch, just shooting it. You can see there I make the final shot just before it perched with my bow. I get all the XP and the dragon egg. It was a pretty nice day as I hadn't beaten the dragon hardcore mode ever. And then still day 130, I know, time is weird in the end, but I did measure it with the F3 menu. I went over to an inn ship to grab an elytra, because that's what I was mainly here for. Day 131, day finally passed in the end. I did get my hands on the elytra. This wasn't too far away from where I originally entered, but there was a way to get out really close to it. So I was planning on not killing the shulkers in the front, as I wanted to build a shulker farm later, and it was a pretty good place for a shulker farm. You can see I immediately add all the stuff onto my elytra, as I was prepping for that before. And then the night of day 131, I got back and decided to go right back in after breaking my bed so I could go back to base. You can see I looked at Enderman there. Here I am back home at day 131. Day 132, I decided to keep working on the auto storage system, which is basically just where I left off before I went to the Ender Dragon fight. I'm not sure why I didn't finish this before the Ender Dragon fight, but I guess I just decided I wanted to get an elytra and shulker boxes. So here you can see I'm placing the redstone torches below the block with the comparators, I think. And then I just finish up decorating a bit with the stone bricks. I did finish placing all the hoppers, so I was basically done. Day 133, I went caving. Now, you may ask why, and that one answer, redstone. I needed so much redstone for the project that I had to go do even more caving and look around so many caves. I looted basically every cave around my base, so I had to go pretty far to find any redstone, but I did. Eventually, I did find a cave with a lot of redstone. Didn't have to travel too far, it was pretty much in the same cave system. Day 134, I looked through all my shulker boxes and tried to clean them out because I had a bunch of random stuff from the end. Well, it's pretty nice because I'm pretty sure I got around 7 or 6 shulker boxes, which is pretty nice for the first time going to the end. And then day 135, I made a bulk section of the storage. Where basically, if I didn't want to store like 17,000 stacks of cobblestone, I'm exaggerating, but you know what I mean. In the actual storage system, I could just manually sort like stacks and stacks of blocks into this bulk storage system, which was nice. Most of the things that would be there would be like stone, cobblestone, netherrack, maybe even like sand, dirt, probably stuff like that you get a lot of over time. You can see on day 135 again, I did get a lot of it done, not too much of it done, but I got the base of it done. Day 136, I went mining because I needed a lot more hoppers. So basically, I just went to the mountains. I found caves, stony peaks, stony shores, anywhere that I could find exposed iron, or coal or emeralds, or really anything, and I just explored and mined all of it. For my elytra, it was pretty easy to just fly around and look for iron, so I did end up getting around 7 stacks and then a bunch of coal. You can see I have my shovel in my offhand on day 137, so whenever I found coal, I could heal my shovel up. Because a lot of my tools have mending because of that one villager. Man, I got so lucky. That was crazy. So you can see right here, I'm not even going to a mountain. I'm just flying to a random place and then just freaking grabbing the iron. It's pretty nice. Day 130, the night of day 138, when I got back, I decided to make a bunch of blast furnaces to smelt all my iron, as I had gotten way too much to smelt with normal furnaces. So I smelted up some cobblestone into stone and then into smooth stone so I could make the furnaces. Day 139, I also realized that I should probably build a raid farm, because in hardcore worlds, totems is one of the most important things, because it basically prevents you from dying. So I gathered some of the base materials to build it. If you're wondering, the design is by Basic Redstone. It's a really simple one, really, way easier than any other design I could find. And so I decided to start building it on day 140. It wasn't too hard to build, it was just like a platform up in the sky where the raiders would spawn, and then fall down a hole and the Ravengers would get burnt. It's actually one of the easier farms to build, and it was really useful later on to get some XP, but mostly just totems. You can see here I'm basically just watching the tutorial. And then the night of day 140, I had basically everything set up. The only thing I needed was to get a villager in this little hut right here. As for raids to activate it, I needed a villager. It was going to be a pretty big job to get a villager all the way over here, but on day 141, I started that. I had gotten a baby in a minecart, so I just decided to try and get it all the way over here, which I did end up doing. But right here, you can see I fumble it, because I try and get it out of the minecart, and then I actually let it out. So I had no idea what I was trying to do here, but it did not work. And then day 142, I decided if I never want to have the issue of these villagers again, I can just make a villager breeder at my base. So I decided to make an in-ground villager breeder, so I could just put glass over it and it'd be pretty cool. On day 143, I decided before I made the villager breeder, I might as well use the villager I got earlier to just finish up building the raid farm. And it worked super well. I drank all the ominous bottles I have, besides for 1 or 2. And I got a bunch of totems that I could finally feel safe in my world again. So that was nice. Day 144, I resumed on making the villager breeder. I'd done a couple of measurements off, but mostly was fine. I just dug like 1 too deep and then dug another too deep to try and place the floor. but it was fine. On the night of day 144, I finally finished the ceiling. Well, mostly all of it. The only thing I really had to do was finish where the villagers would be dispensed, and then also bring the villagers. On day 146, I did that exactly. I brought all the villagers over. One hadn't been grown up, so it wouldn't start working immediately, but it would work in time. You're gonna have to set up a pretty long rail line, but it worked, so it was fine. On day 147, I decided to organize a bit, as you can see here, and start putting all the item filters for all the storage system things in. As you can see all the labels and everything. Day 148, I decided to second check everything, make sure everything was right. Only had one mistake, and it was near the very end, so it was fine. It was a pretty easy fix. I just had to swap out some of the item filters. But the fully sorting item system was pretty much done. The only thing I had to do was make the room look better, and then sort more things, I guess. Day 149, I kind of realized the raid farm was kind of good for XP. It wasn't that good, but for the needs I needed it for right now, it was pretty much my best way of getting XP. So I just decided to do that for a bit. Day 150, I went over to the villager trading hall, as the village, as that's basically my second best way to get XP. Maybe my first. It just depends if I have all the stuff. So I just got some emeralds using sugarcane, and I used it to heal up my shovel, which was nice. Day 151, since I already had a villager reader at my base, I decided I wanted to make a villager trading hall. So I found this little circle generator, and I used it to make a circle that I was going to make out of glass and then turn into a little villager trading hall. It was right next to the villager reader, so I could easily transport all the villagers into the villager trading hall. Day 152, I wanted to get a beacon. I know this is kind of random. I ended up getting any skulls, and I basically just wasted my time. It was kind of dumb. I don't know what I was doing. I basically just flew around and killed all the skeletons I saw. Didn't end up getting anything. And then when I got back on the night of day 152, I just sat there. I probably had to eat or something. Maybe I was drinking water or something. And then day 153, I decided to start work on a new farm. A cobblestone farm. A cobblestone farm that would help me build a creeper farm. You might ask, how are those correlated? Well, the creeper farm I was building by Shulkercraft took a lot of materials to get, specifically trapdoors and building blocks. So I can knock off building blocks by building this. The design is, I think, by Martin Domink, and the tutorial used was Shulkercraft. It was a very efficient farm, not even too hard to build. It only took a bit. Day 145, I started building it. I did mess it up once, but that was kind of completely my fault because I didn't place the leaves correctly, which was kind of dumb, but it was fine. It was a pretty easy fix. It didn't take too long, but it was slightly annoying. Day 155, I did finish it off. And it did end up working perfectly, so good to know I didn't build anything wrong there. And then I AFK'd it for a bit and got a bunch of cobblestone, basically enough for all the stuff I needed for the creeper farm. I was running dangerously low on rockets, which is why I was getting materials for a creeper farm. I don't really need a sugarcane farm because I already have a giant one, so there was really no point in building that. So the only thing I needed was gunpowder. And then you can see day 157, I'm just scouring all the storage systems to find any of the materials that I need for the creeper farm. There weren't too much random stuff. As you can see here, I needed glass, I needed some repeaters, hoppers, comparators, a bunch of random stuff. Day 158, I had most of the building block materials collected. You can see why I needed a cobblestone farm for all that. Would have been pretty bad if I had just had to mine all that. So I had a lot of the stuff collected, but it wasn't all of the stuff. Day 159, I started the tedious task of basically cutting down so much trees, it was too much. I needed a lot of trapdoors for this, so I just cut down trees for a while. Day 159, I messed with the storage system. I realized if I didn't have the item in the item sorter, I could put it in and it would end up at the chest at the end, which was nice, so I could just shove all my random stuff in there. Day 160, I continued to chop trees. Yeah, this was going to be my life for the next couple of Minecraft days, so this was kind of annoying, but There's nothing else I could really do. I mean, I could have built a wood farm, but that would just take so much longer. There was no point. Day 161, can you guess what I did? Oh, how'd you know? I mined trees for the entire day. Yeah, it was kind of boring, but it will be worth it in the end. So I continued to mine trees for the entirety of day 161, just trying to get all the trapdoors that I needed. Day 162, I chopped more trees. I chopped trees until the night of day 162. But by the day 162, I had finished. So on day 163, I decided to start building the farm. So basically, the next like 10 days is just me building the farm. It's really boring, tedious. There were a couple of mistakes, but nothing was interesting. So I'm just going to cut it all out here and just resume after I built the entire farm. The only thing interesting to note is there was a guardian temple pretty near it. And here we go. Day 172, I think around 9 days later, when I started the farm, I had finally finished. So I basically had infinite rockets. So after finally getting my problem with rockets solved, I decided to go back to the villager trading hall, as my armor really needed repairing and work. Most of the enchantments were pretty bad, and everything except my leggings and chest plate and elytra, I guess, and some of my tools had no mending, so it was pretty bad. But can you guess what? On day 174, I got sidetracked on trying to make a wall. Now, there's a pretty good question here. Why are you trying to make a wall? And I have a pretty good answer. I have no idea. So on the night of day 175, I kept working on designing the wall. I still have no idea why I decided to. I guess I just got bored or something. It didn't work out too much, but it did work out on what I was trying to design it like. I just had to tear down a bit as it was like way too far out. You can see here I'm going like 3 spruce fences, 4 spruce fences in the middle, and then a lantern. And I had to replace all the stone on the floor with dirt so it would look much better. And it did look much better. On day 178, I fixed the cave around here as it was looking really ugly, especially with this water seeping in. And I wanted the area around my base to look organized and clean, so I decided to flatten a lot of it. And then day 179, I flattened on the mountain. So it wasn't necessary, and I didn't really do any more of it. I just flattened a bit of it, and then I went in this cave for no specific reason. On day 108 to day 181, I decided to forget to cut the beginning part out because I have half a brain cell. And then can you guess what I did? Yep, I terraformed. Wow, so interesting. Just kidding, it was a 2-second long day. I have no idea what I was doing. And then day 182, I decided to make the iron farm look better for no specific reason. I just basically encased it with glass and then put a couple of trapdoors on top, the ones that I had extra from the creeper farm, and that was about it. On day 183, I finally resumed my task of actually getting better armor and tools, and also making the villager trading hall better. The pathways were a bit thin to walk on when trading with the villagers, so I decided to expand it. Luckily, I got all the glass that I needed from the villagers that I had already had in the villager trading hall. Day 185, I got a lot more obsidian. Can you guess what I'd be doing? No. You probably couldn't, because it has nothing to do with what I did for the past couple of days. Yep, I decided to go to the nether roof. Why? I don't know. It just felt like a good idea. So this was my first totem pop. Actually, it might have been my second. I think my first recorded totem pop. I think my first one was actually when I was building the villager trading hall. I was in F3 and I actually just fell. But I'm pretty sure I popped 2 totems and almost broke all my armor trying to break bedrock. And then day 118, slight change, I decided to kill an enderman in the cobble farm. Why? I need another ender pearl. But on day 188, yep, that's right, I'm not doing what I was doing yesterday, because I decided to do a completely different thing. I decided to go back to re-rolling for good enchantments, as after trying to blow a hole in the nether roof, all my armor was basically dead from all the explosions. So I really needed Unbreaking 3, which I had already had, so I didn't need that, but I didn't want to transport the villager. And then day 190, I decided to try and get an XP farm, since once I got mending, which I had actually gotten, I could just use my tools. I could just use this to mend my tools. I located this with chunk base. I mean, I wouldn't really say it's cheating, but some people say it will. In the day 191, I decided an emerald making method would be nice. So what I'm doing is basically I'm curing a cartographer that gives me the glass pane for emeralds. and then using glass from librarians to trade. And then day 192, I just got more villagers in. Day 193, I was trying to get efficiency 5. Here you can see I got efficiency 3. I didn't end up taking it because it was not good enough. But I mean, it gave me hope. Day 194, I did something completely different, trying to get the zombie spawner to work. Let me tell you, this was a complete fail. I thought all you had to do was just, make a water elevator to the surface and it would just, work. But no, it wouldn't. There has to be a player near. Day 195, I worked on the spawner, thinking it would work, trying to make it look better. Obviously, it did not work. I had to tear the entire thing down. It was kind of embarrassing and stupid, but it was fine. I did end up getting another spawner in the end. It wasn't that good for XP, but it was fine. So I just decided to keep doing this. Day 195. Pretty useless thing, but it was fine. Day 196, I kept doing it. Yep. I know, I had no idea why I thought spawners would activate even if you were really far away from them. When clearly you can see the spawner's not activated, and I'm really far away from it. So I don't know why I thought it would work. So I basically got to where they were going to drop down into, but I had fully committed. After I realized it wasn't working, I decided to build a literal chunk loader down there. Basically messed up my entire nether hub, but if it meant the spawner worked, it would be fine. Guess what? It doesn't work! There has to be a player near it, so it didn't work. Day 197, I finally realized this, and I decided I was going to try and do it with a different spawner, because this one was higher up, so I thought it might be able to reach the surface. So on day 197, I found the spawner and started converting it to a farm. I'd realized that I couldn't shoot the mobs up to the surface, but I could shoot the mobs up to the surface and then bring them back down to a killing chamber so they're at 1 heart. So basically right here I have a glass tube where they go to, and then they fall down, landing on half a heart, so I can kill them. It wasn't what I wanted originally, but it did work pretty well. You can see here, I go up my water elevator after activating it down there, and all the zombies fall straight down. I can just go down this water elevator and kill them for their XP or flesh, whatever I needed. It was pretty nice to finally actually get one of these that was working, but it didn't end up working that well. In day 200, I terraformed a bit, and thanks for watching another one of these videos. These are completely unscripted, so if you're wondering why the speech isn't that good, it's because I'm not writing a script. The next video will hopefully be better. I'm going to switch from 100 days to actually doing, episodes. So yeah, thanks for watching.